There was a man who was standing in front of an ATM trying to pull out money from it, but no matter how much he tried, he couldn't pull out even a single dollar. So he started pounding on the machine and yelling at it, "Give me my money back, you stupid machine." But the more he pounded on it, the more angry he got, and eventually he just walked away empty-handed. A few days later, this same man needed some money again, so he went back to the ATM. He put his card into the slot and punched in his PIN, then started pounding on the buttons for the amount he wanted to withdraw, but still nothing came out. Again, he started yelling at the machine, "You stupid machine, why won't you give me my money?" But once again, he just ended up walking away disappointed. This continued for weeks, and the man became so frustrated that he finally decided to take action. He went to the bank manager, explained what was happening, and they checked the records and found that the man actually had over $10,000 in his account. So the bank manager asked him, "If you have so much money in your account, why are you only withdrawing small amounts?" The man replied, "I don't want large amounts. I just need $40. The manager was confused, so he asked, "Why do you need exactly $40? And the man said, "That's all I need for my lunch." The manager could not understand why someone would only withdraw $40 when they had so much money in their account. So the next time the man went to the ATM, the manager followed him. He watched as the man put his card into the slot and punched in his PIN. Then the man started pounding on the buttons for $40, but once again, nothing came out. The manager asked him, "What's wrong with you? Why aren't you withdrawing all the money in your account?" The man looked at him and said, "Because if I did that, I wouldn't be able to afford lunch." The manager realized that this man had made a mistake. He had become so used to only withdrawing $40 that his mind had stopped him from withdrawing a larger amount. His mind had convinced him that he didn't have enough money in his account to afford a bigger withdrawal. This is a classic example of how our minds can play tricks on us and how important it is to be aware of our thought patterns. Many people struggle to achieve success because they have limiting beliefs that hold them back. These beliefs can be so ingrained in our minds that we don't even realize they're there. For example, you may have been told growing up that you were not good at math or that you were not smart enough to go to college. These beliefs can limit your potential and prevent you from achieving your goals. It's important to be aware of these negative thoughts and challenge them. Ask yourself if there is any truth to these statements and what evidence do you have to support or refute them. By questioning these beliefs, you can start to break them down and replace them with more positive and empowering thoughts. To help you on this journey, I will share a motivational story. There was a farmer who had a horse that would run away whenever he tried to ride it. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't control the horse, so he decided to take a different approach. He started by putting on a pair of roller skates and then hopping on the horse. At first, the horse tried to run away, but the farmer stayed on his back and kept hopping. After a while, the horse got tired of the movement and calmed down. The farmer then took off the roller skates and rode the horse in the traditional way. He was able to do this because he had shown the horse that he wasn't afraid of it and that he was willing to try anything to control it. Now, let's move on to the main topic of this video. When starting something new, it is important to find motivation and inspiration from others. However, there is a fine line between being inspired by someone and copying them exactly. Copying someone else's work or actions too closely can lead to a lack of originality and creativity. True success comes from finding your own path and doing things differently. Of course, it's important to learn from others, but you should always try to add your own unique twist to things. One way to stay motivated and inspired without copying others is to focus on the process rather than the outcome. When you set goals and work towards achieving them, it's easy to get caught up in the end result. However, it's important to remember that the journey is just as important as the destination. Enjoy the process of working towards your goals and celebrate your accomplishments along the way. This will help you stay motivated and inspired without relying on external factors such as the end result. It is also important to remember that everyone's path is different and there is no one-size-fits-all approach to success. What works for one person may not work for another. So be willing to experiment and find what works best for you. Don't be afraid to take risks and step outside of your comfort zone. Trying new things and taking risks is an important part of the journey. You never know what opportunities may come your way. So keep an open mind and be willing to embrace the unexpected. It's also important to be patient and persistent. Success doesn't happen overnight, and it takes time and effort to achieve your goals. There will be setbacks and obstacles along the way, but it's important not to give up. Keep trying and eventually you will succeed. Remember, the man who keeps on trying is eventually going to succeed. One day he put his card into the ATM and instead of punching in for a small amount, he typed in a large sum of money, more than he had ever withdrawn before. And guess what happened? The machine spat out stacks of cash until the amount he had requested was fully dispensed. He couldn't believe his eyes. All this time, he had been limiting himself by only withdrawing $40 when he had so much more money available. Once he broke through his self-imposed barrier, he realized that he had accessed too much greater wealth than he had ever imagined possible. From that day forward, the man never went back to the ATM to withdraw only $40 again. He had discovered the power of breaking through mental barriers and the importance of challenging limiting beliefs. He continued to grow his wealth and live a life of abundance, always remembering the valuable lesson he had learned from that old ATM machine. In conclusion, the man in the story was able to achieve success because he found the motivation to keep trying. Even when he faced setbacks, he didn't give up. He kept putting one foot in front of the other and eventually he achieved his goal. The moral of the story is that no matter what challenges you face in life, as long as you keep trying, you will eventually succeed. It is important to remember that everyone's path is different and there is no one-size-fits-all approach to success. What works for one person may not work for another. So be willing to experiment and find what works best for you. Don't be afraid to take risks and step outside of your comfort zone. Trying new things and taking risks is an important part of the journey. You never know what opportunities may come your way. So keep an open mind and be willing to embrace the unexpected. It's also important to be patient and persistent. Success doesn't happen overnight, and it takes time and effort to achieve your goals. There will be setbacks and obstacles along the way, but it's important not to give up. Keep trying and eventually you will succeed. Don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.